Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. And so today's video I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read in May. So I did read quite a few and I'm pretty proud of myself because I read, like, most of the books I read were on my physical TBR. I literally only read one on my Kindle and that's a graphic novel, which I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, I'm very happy with myself because I do want to try and read more physical books because I do have a lot on my physical TBR. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. But let's just get right on into all the books that I read in May. So the first book I read, graphic novel, was The Walking Dead, the first Walking Dead graphic novel. And I rated this 4 stars. I watched The Walking Dead a couple of years ago and I absolutely loved the show. And so when I heard that there was graphic novels, which I generally didn't know when I was watching the show, I did find out while I was watching the show, but then it completely left my mind. I completely forgot about it. And then I found someone on booktube reading them, I can't remember who it was, and I just had to start it. And I saw that the one Kindle Unlimited. So then I started this, absolutely loved it. It was a fun time, obviously fast read, and I just loved to see it all in a graphic novel form. And so yeah, I did rate it 4 stars, absolutely loved it, and I do highly recommend, this graphic novel. Obviously I can't speak for the whole series, and I know there are a lot, I know there's more than 10, but yeah, I'm excited to read the whole series. After that, I read The Beach House. So this is the little novella in the Kissing Booth series, and I rated 3.5 stars. If you have been here for a while, you know that The Kissing Booth, the first book, I didn't really enjoy. I rated 2 stars. I do prefer the movies than the books, but I did still read this because I was like, it's short. It did still take me a long time because I was doing the reading stuff, and I didn't have much time to read when I was reading this, which was at the beginning of the month. But yeah, so I was reading this and I was like, it's fun, great for summer because they're at the summer home, vacation home, whatever, and it's nice, quick, easy, but I still just didn't enjoy it as much as I would have liked, and I still found there was a few crunchy stuff in it, but it wasn't bad or anything. And obviously I can't rate it any higher than 3.5 because it's a novella, and obviously you don't get much context. But this is, if you've watched the movies, this whole novella is just about them at the vacation home and enjoying their summer basically. But yeah, so 3.5 stars for that. The next book is The Elite by Kira Cass. So this is the second book in the Selection series, and I rated this 3 stars. Again, I did enjoy it. It took me a while to read again, but not because of the book at all. It was generally because I didn't have time to read. And to be honest, I don't really remember much that happened in this one. So yeah, I couldn't really tell you, but I suppose it's quite bad that I forgot. But yeah, either way, I think it's because I generally was reading it quite slow and quite separated. But either way, I know that it was still a good book, and obviously it's 3 stars for me because it is young adult and I don't really read young adult. This series was one of my exceptions to young adult. But yeah, I would still recommend this book and the whole series in general. And talking about the whole series, the next was TheOne, and I rated this 3.5 stars. Again, with the other one, I did really enjoy this. This one is the main book where all this action happens more and everything that happens. I feel like this was the best book in the series for me personally. The only thing that was the issue is that America, the main female character, really bothered me a lot with the backwards and forwards between the two guys. And I mean, I know it's a love triangle, but the way she handled it and dealt with it was just really bothering me. Also, I feel like she was a bit immature for her age. But either way, yeah, like I said, I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the storyline, and like I said, I would recommend it. And I think the next 2 books are her daughter, if I heard correctly. So yeah, I'm very excited to continue. Next, I read The Summer of Broken Rules. So I did read this in a reading vlog, the same with the one that I just talked about. So if you want my reactions and more details about it, then you can go and watch that reading vlog. But this book I rated 3.5 stars. It was enjoyable. I was supposed to read this last summer but never did, and I'm finally glad that I got to it. But this is about Meredith. She has just lost her sister, her twin sister at that, and she's grieving that, and so she goes to this vacation home with her family, and that is when she meets this guy, and she becomes close and becomes friendly with this guy, and then you also seen her still like trying to grieve for her sister, but also like enjoying her summer. And the family's also playing the game of assassin, so you're also enjoying that as well, because it gives a bit more of something to the story. But yeah, it's great for summer. Let me just say that. Like, I would recommend it, like, to read this in the summertime, because it's nice, quick, fast-paced, just a fun time, basically. Next book I read was The Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate. This book is 5 stars. Like, absolutely loved it. This is definitely like one of my favorites, if not my favorite book in the series. Like, I can't stop thinking about this book, and that is when you know it's 5-star like material, you know, me personally anyway. But this book is about Daisy, and she works at this club, and she spots Ronan, and she knows something about Ronan, which I don't want to say because it will spoil the book a bit. Then she ends up moving in with Ronan because Ronan finds her living in a van and he's not happy about it, and so she ends up temporarily staying, actually, that's a better word, staying with Ronan. But they become like really close friends, but then it turns into more, and I absolutely love this. This is an age gap romance, obviously taboo, but yeah, absolutely loved it. Next book I read was Dark Rooms. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I did read this in a reading vlog, and I don't remember what this is about. I don't remember anything about it. It's like I haven't even read it, to be fair. But I'm going to go off the basis of the back of the book to explain what this is about. So, from what I can tell, it's about Helena, and she's been moved into a care home, and then there's Jane, who is investigating 2 bodies that were found within the family home that Helena used to live in, and then so she goes exploring and obviously trying to find clues and stuff, but she's putting her own life in danger. Jane, that is. I don't know. It does sound good, but I feel, from what I remember, which is not like nothing at all, I felt like the writing probably wasn't for me, and a little bit of this I did listen to on audiobook as well. Well, to be fair, a majority of it I did listen to on audiobook, so maybe I'll have to reread it in the future to like get a better review on it, because I feel like I'm not doing this book fair. So don't go off my review because it's not fair at all. Like, read it, give it a go. That's all I'm going to suggest. Next book I read was Vera Wong's Unsolicified Advice for Murderers. So this book I rated 2.75 stars. I actually did really enjoy this. One half of the book I felt was like quite slow, but then the second half of the book I was enjoying it a bit more. So this is about Vera. She's a mother and she owns a tea shop, and then one day she finds this man just dead in the middle of a tea shop, and then she phones the police, but she feels like the police doesn't do a good job, so she decides to investigate who did it herself. But yeah, it was a fun time, let me just tell you, and especially because I was going through a stressful time in May, I felt like this was just a fun, like very comforting as well, especially when you're going through a hard time. Like, it was just a fun like read, and a fun mystery, which you don't get many of, I don't think, but I would like to read more books like this, to be honest. And now I'm thinking about it, I would probably up it to 3 stars, because I feel like 2.75 stars was just very picky, but I don't know, I'll have to think about it. Next book I read was A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. This book, well, I rated it 4.75 stars, but I read it like in 2 sittings, and I'm going to explain. So I started it quite late / early in the morning, so I did start it at like 3 a.m. and I didn't go to bed until like 6 a.m. but then I took a little nap because I did get tired, and then I was awake by like, I want to say 10, 11, and I finished like the last 200 pages I had. So I read 300 pages before I went to sleep for a little bit, and then read 200 pages and finished it. And I don't know what it was that was in this book, but I was addicted to it, and I didn't have that feeling with the book for quite a while, and like it felt amazing again. I don't know why, like it's just amazing. So this is about Ren and Crew, and obviously they're both in high school, and it's like their romance. I don't want to say too much about it because it can ruin stuff, and it is a slow burn. I do want to preface that. But it's also where Ren is known as like the innocent, and then Crew is like the bad boy. So it's one of them. But yeah, it was just a fun time. I'm not saying it was like good writing or anything. But I'm not saying it's not either. I have had people say that it wasn't good writing and the story just cringed them out. I'm not saying any of that stuff. It was just a comforting time. It was just a fun read, you know? I liked it. The next book is I Love You, I Hate You. I've had this one for a while as well. Finally glad to get it off my physical TBR. To be honest, I don't really remember much about this. I just know it's a workplace enemies to lovers. And again, I did listen to it on audiobook. It's quite a quick read. And like, I would recommend it. If you like the hating game, I feel like this is very similar. So, you know, again, it was a fun listen. Next book I read was Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. So if you don't know this already, I had this on my May TBR last year, and I read it this May. Obviously, it's in this wrap-up. But I absolutely loved it. Like, 4 stars. It was very fun, very fast-paced. I finished it so quickly. If you don't know what it's about Olivia and Colin, and Olivia is Colin's best friend's sister. That's very complicated. But they both end up talking to someone online, and it turns out that it's each other, but they don't know that it's each other. And Olivia and Colin have obviously known each other for years, kind of grew up together. They've known each other since I think they were like teenagers, but they haven't really got along. Like, they haven't hated each other, but they've like bickered a bit and whatever. So yeah, it was, like I said, a fun, fast-paced read, and I do highly recommend. And I'm glad that I finally read it. After that, I read Everything and Everything. So this book I've also had in my TBR for quite a while, and when I brought it, I didn't know what it was about. I knew that it was a movie, obviously, but I haven't watched the movie, and I didn't read the back. I just brought it because it looked interesting, and I had seen it everywhere in like 2020, I want to say, or 2021. So I brought it, and it was cheap. I think I got it for like £2. So I brought it, and then I just put it on my shelf and never looked at it again. But if I had known what it was about sooner, I definitely would have read it sooner, because I looked at it, I was like, this is short, I don't really have much time to read, so I chose it, and I love it now. So I did rate it 4 stars, and I read it in one sitting. Like I said, really fast paced. So if you don't know what it's about Maddie, and she has this illness where if she goes outside, then she can die from it. So she is obviously always inside. Everything has to be clean. That, like, anything from the outside that comes in. And then one day she looks out the window and she sees this boy who is moving in with obviously his family next door, and she starts to like him, and they start like get talking online, and things happen from there. And the ending of this book, I just was not expecting at all. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, like I said, I highly recommend this. Next book was Set on You by Amy Lee. So this book I rated 3.5 stars. I also read it in a reading blog as well, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought, but I did still enjoy it, if that makes any sense at all. But this is about a gym influencer and a firefighter, and it's kind of like an enemies to lovers. Well, it is an enemies to lovers. It's very fast paced, very fun, and yeah, so like I said, I do highly recommend it. I did read it quite fast as well. But yeah, I don't want to say too much because obviously I don't want to ruin anything. The next I obviously read X's and O's by Emily. So this is about a bookstagrammer and a firefighter, and the heroine in this book is the heroine's in Set on You's sister, and then so this is Tara, this is Travis, and then Travis is our hero's best friend. There we go. So yeah, they're all connected. You can read them as standalones as well, just so that you know. So this book I rated 3.75. I did enjoy this a little bit more. I mean, it's more relatable, and I felt like there's more of a connection between the two characters, and it was just more fun, personally, for me. And I do, yeah, like I said, I did prefer this. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to say much about it, but like I said, it's about a bookstagrammer, and she decided that it would be a good idea, because she reads books, obviously. She reads romance books, and she wants a romance in her life, like the romances in books. So she decides that it would be a good idea to find her exes and try and find her second chance romance. But she also lives with Travis, and then they become friends, and things start to happen between them. And yeah, I absolutely loved this. It was a fun time. The next book I read was Just 1 Year by Penelope Ward, and I rated this 4.5 stars. I read this in one sitting. I know, crazy. And I just absolutely loved it. Like, this was one of, like, those win buys, because Penelope Ward did this thing on an Instagram reel where she was explaining the book, and I bought it straight away, and I have no regrets. So this is about Tegan and Caleb, and Tegan, like, really needs a bathroom, but the female's bathroom, it's obviously closed, so she goes into the men's bathroom. Don't ask why I said female, by the way. Anyway, and then Caleb walks in, and there's kind of like an embarrassing encounter. But Tegan is expecting a exchange student to live with her and obviously her family, like, for a year. But the exchange student they was expecting is allergic to cats, so they had to find a new one, and that new exchange student is Caleb. So yeah, absolutely loved it. And like I said, the romance in this was amazing. This whole book is amazing. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read anything from Penelope Ward, please do. Like, she's an amazing writer, and I'll forever stand by that. So yeah, absolutely love this. The next book I read was Without You by Marley Valentine. So this book I rated 4.5 stars or 4.75, I can't remember, but I absolutely love this. Read this in one sitting. It was so enjoyable. I did get this recommendation by it's McKay, so I'm so glad that she recommended this. This is about Julian and Deacon. So I might get the names confused, but I think Deacon is the one that lost his brother because his brother passed away, and Julian was dating Deacon's brother. And Julian and Deacon never really spoke much, but now they're both grieving, obviously, for the one that's passed away, and while they're grieving they end up being there for each other. They end up like becoming best friends, well, friendly, and then feelings start to occur. And obviously Julian is openly gay, obviously because he dated Deacon's brother, but Deacon thought he was straight, so when he started getting these feelings it was quite shocking. But I absolutely love this. It was so amazing and heart-wrenching at the same time, because seeing two people grieve and finding comfort and support in each other, it was so lovely. So yeah, I highly recommend this. And then I read Collided by Lauren Asher. I rated this at 3.5 stars. Again, I did enjoy it. I did read it in one sitting, I believe, or two. It was quite fast. I've been meaning to read this for so long, and I did read the first one in a reading vlog at the beginning of the year. So this one is about Sophie and Liam, and Sophie has a bucket list that she's trying to get through, and she ends up like traveling with her father like on these things, and that is when she meets Liam. They become like friends, but they do find each other attractive, and they know that, but they are fighting it. And Liam is helping Sophie with the bucket list, and then things like that happen. But yeah, it was fun, it was interesting, and you know, 3.5 does sound bad, but it really wasn't. Like, I do recommend this book. And then the last book I have read in May was Wrecked by Lauren Asher. So this book I rated 4 stars. I actually really love this. So this book is about Elena and Jax, and Jax is suffering with anxiety, and Elena suffering from something that happened in her past, like her struggles, and they're both trying to get through it. And Jax is obviously an F1 racer, and then Elena is his PR and is basically there to babysit him because Jax was partying a lot, and you know, stuff to, you know, get through his anxiety. Like, it was like a coping mechanism, because he didn't want help for it basically. But then eventually he met Elena, and he started to, like, you know, fall for her a bit, and then he finally got help, and you see that. And I feel like the mental health reputation in this was done so well. Absolutely loved it, and the anxiety bit was described great. So yeah, like I said, well done. Just absolutely loved this altogether. Highly recommend. It was just a great read. So those are all the books that I read in May. If you watched till the end, comment down below a rose emoji. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe if you want. It's free, and hope to see you in my next video. Bye.